What's going on, y'all? We're going to talk about skills to build, and the first skill we're going to talk about in this video is Photoshop. Photoshop is literally the best skill that I've probably ever acquired in my career. And I say that because it literally put me on levels that I probably wouldn't have been if I didn't have the skill. To give you the background of how I got into Photoshop, my senior year of high school, I needed an elective. Graphics was the only one that was open. I always wanted to use Photoshop, but didn't really have an idea of how to get into it. But I took the class and I fell in love with it. When I got to Maryland, I remember the first day of being a manager, someone was like, well, does anyone know how to use Photoshop? That was in 2011 when graphics were becoming a thing, mail outs, social media, all that was a thing. I remember raising my hand and I literally took off from there. I'm self-taught. I did take that class in high school, but it wasn't anything near where I needed to be. We didn't talk about color theory, we didn't talk about anything, but I am self-taught, and I literally taught myself everything that I know in terms of Photoshop. I've had some help from a couple of my friends who I've met, graphic designers who I've met who throw me PSDs, Photoshop files every once in a while, but a lot of it, and all of it mostly, is I was self-taught. So it is possible to be able to do graphics and be self-taught. Everything you see on Ohio State women's basketball, Twitter and Instagram are my graphics. I've been doing social media for every program I've been a part of. And it literally is a skill that, like I said, I cannot reiterate how important it is. The way to learn it, I would say, is by doing. I literally see something I like and I try to recreate it. When I was first starting out, it was just really establishing my look, establish what I'm really into. If you talk to any of my friends who've seen my work from the beginning to now, you can pick out elements that are my look. You can be like, oh, that's it. I went through a phase where I was really into silver, so silver was somewhere. I was really into this primary color of blue. So I would say, to start, if you are interested in Photoshop, it would just be to literally start looking at things and finding ways to recreate them. I follow tons and tons and tons and tons of different programs. I follow a lot of football programs. I think football has been the most progressive when it comes to graphics. I have a couple Purdue, I love Purdue men's basketball stuff. Clemson football, I love them. My homeboy at Louisville, women's basketball, Lamont, shout out to him. His stuff is fire. I'm constantly looking at what they're doing. But the biggest thing with being able to do Photoshop was just learning what things look like and looking at something and trying to recreate it and trying to see elements, studying graphics, look at this font, look at this, look at this. And YouTube is the best thing ever. I have friends that are just straight YouTube taught. And every once in a while, when I'm looking for new things, I go on YouTube and I just look up tutorials, and I have a list of tutorials that I'm going to add in here. I have a channel that has a ton of tutorials that I'm actually going to put in here, so you can go check that out if you are interested in learning Photoshop. But I will say that I'm very traditional when it comes to using Photoshop. I think there are a ton of great, awesome resources on iPhones and things like that I don't knock. I think that's awesome. But for me, I don't regret putting the time into Photoshop. I think that Photoshop can be very intimidating. So I get it, but it literally was worth all the anxiety, all the stress. It's a skill that you will have and be able to take with you wherever you go. Be it if you're at Power 5 and you do have a graphics person and you don't have to worry about that, that's awesome. But if you did end up at another level and they needed you to have that skill, it can really boost you. I will say that I've probably been put in certain situations that I otherwise wouldn't have been if I didn't have Photoshop and that skill. So I'm a big advocate for Photoshop. Like I said, skills to build, I'm all for it. Photoshop is dope. and you have all my contact information in here. So if you are interested in really getting into Photoshop and really killing it and really committing to it, hit me up. Do not hesitate. I'm all about making tutorials. I'm all about showing you things that I've done to make stuff easier. And yeah, like I said, skill to build, Photoshop. If you can, do it. Reach out to, if you have people in your department, marketing, all that type of stuff. If you do have a graphics group at your school, definitely reach out to them. But it's definitely a skill, and I will be the first person to say that. Like I said, if you want to get into it, hit me up. My email, I have my contact information on here. I will get you on the path. I'm all for Photoshop, people. I think it's dope. It's a cool community to be a part of. It's an awesome skill to have, and it will propel you in places that you otherwise wouldn't think. So that's my view on Photoshop. Skills to build. Make sure you keep looking at these skills to build, but Photoshop, that's the first one. Knock it out. Next up, we're going to talk about sports code skills and what you can do with that if that's a program that you have.